Hi, this is our presentation comparing a vegan diet to a diet including animal products, presented by Daniel Hernandez, Adriana Morales, and Michael Vigo.
Veganism is a lifestyle of abstaining from animal products, which includes not eating meat, dairy, eggs, or honey, and not purchasing products like clothing and furniture made of leather, wool, and other materials derived from animals. Research conducted by the Vegetarian Resource Group shows that the number of American adults who identified as vegan or vegetarian in 2019 was 4%. Vegan activists often cite health, environmental, and ethical reasons for why everyone should adopt this lifestyle.
Our diet is a major contributor to our physical health and well-being, and it would be worthwhile to discover which type of diet creates the best health outcomes in order to encourage others to adopt it. A good diet would prevent disease and illness and ensure a longer lifespan than the other options. The products we consume also affect the environment. The current widespread system of farming created to meet the demand of food, factory farming, is detrimental to water supply, occupies an immense amount of land, and contributes to greenhouse gas emissions that lead to climate change. However, it is the most efficient system. A preferable diet will be sustainable for the planet in the long run, but also be able to meet the needs of the people. Many people sympathize with animals and would like them to be treated humanely. The current system in place to support each lifestyle treats animals very differently, and what is considered humane is debatable.
Our presentation will compare vegan diets and non-vegan diets, which include meat, dairy, and eggs. The primary topics that we'll be covering are: is a vegan diet better than non-vegan diets? Are the moral arguments for veganism valid? Which diet is more natural for humans? How will the world be affected overall if more people became vegan? Is vegan diet safe for all ages? And does being a vegan ensure a longer lifespan than eating meat? Let's find out. Over the years, people have been approaching the vegan diet with curiosity due to the fact that it is known to be a healthier and better lifestyle than other non-vegan diets. It is common to a lot of people that aren't comfortable and confident with their bodies that they want to pursue a new diet that will make them feel better not only on the outside, but on the inside as well. In fact, between 2014 to 2017, there has been a 600% increase in people dedicating themselves to the vegan diet over other diets. Although there have been more vegan options in groceries and restaurants over the years, the vegan diet isn't for everyone. Most of the time, people assume that entering the vegan diet is simple, but in reality, there's a lot of things to consider. For one, the vegan diet consists of not eating any meat, poultry, seafood, dairy, eggs, and honey. By eliminating all those food options, it's hard adjusting eating to only eating vegetables after being used to eating all of that food. Some people would attempt the vegan diet and give up after a good week before giving in to meat and dairy because of their stomach being constantly hungry from the lack of heavy filling food. Even though people have struggled in the beginning when they start the vegan diet, those who adapted and kept going through with it ended up feeling more satisfied and got used to their new eating habits. Since people eliminate food that they're used to eating, they become more open into trying out new varieties of food like tofu and edamame. It is also beneficial to people who shop for fruits and vegetables aimed for them, since it is cheaper and more affordable to buy than the products used to make food like meat and poultry. When comparing the vegan diet to other diets, the most common mistake people make is that the vegan diet is similar to the vegetarian diet. The vegetarian diet is similar to the vegan diet, except they can eat eggs and dairy if they choose to. Very Will Fit, a website that specializes in healthy lifestyles and exercising, compared the vegan diet with the vegetarian diet. The Healthy Eating Index, a scoring system that evaluates food, was used to compare the two diets. In terms of general nutrition, the vegetarian diet scored lower than the vegan diet, but with a high score involving protein, calcium, and vitamin, since vegetarians can eat eggs and dairy. When it comes to weight loss, both the vegan and vegetarian diets have the same effect, since both diets involve taking out meat and other animal-based food out of your eating habits. Finally, with sustainability involved, it is harder to pursue a vegan diet than a vegetarian diet because of the addition of eggs and dairy, but it is recommended to start a vegetarian diet first before pursuing a vegan diet so that the transition is easier and more effective. Throughout the world, pursuing veganism has its ups and downs. The main goal when it comes to being a vegan is living a healthy lifestyle to not only benefit yourself, but the planet as well when not consuming meat. There are various opinions on whether being a vegan is the right thing to do or if it's even worth pursuing because of the struggles and trials people have to go through to adjust themselves in a new eating diet. One of these common opinions that involve veganism is the idea of morality. If you look at anyone that eats food and ask them why they eat food, most of the time they'll say they eat it because it's delicious. When it comes to veganism, the most common answer would be that they chose this diet because they don't want to harm animals that are used to be processed into food. They believe that if people started taking the vegan route, more animals would be spared and that everyone will get adjusted to being herbivores instead of carnivores. Morality plays a huge role in everyone's life, and it ranges from everything they say and do. When it comes to food, some people actually take in consideration what they eat and how they feel about it. For example, in the Richard Dawkins website, someone wrote an article about how he defends his moral actions in becoming vegan for the past 20 years. He makes 5 reasonings on why he's a vegan from his moral perspective. The first point that he brings up is that the human body wasn't equipped to eat or digest meat. He goes on to explain that since our body wasn't fit to eat meat, that we should focus more on eating more plants instead. We've been convinced that eating meat is a norm, that we should still have animals kept at bay to make sure that we're fed well. Without the idea of relying on animals to eat, we would have to change our ideology of food and rely on plant-based food instead of no more animals get sacrificed. The second point that he brings up is that we really don't need meat at all to be healthy. Since he's been a vegan for over 20 years, he took a test recently to see how healthy he was, and it turns out that his blood glucose, cholesterol, and blood pressure were all normal and healthy. Everyone has a different story and take when they pursue veganism, but the fact that he did it for so long and is still healthy proves that you don't need to eat meat to stay healthy. The third point is that veganism isn't demanding and is more sustainable than other diets. Involving an ecological standpoint, veganism is the best route for the future since we rarely use our world's resources to be well fed and stay healthy. The fourth point is that we would be sparing animals that didn't ask to be processed into food for people, because just like humans, they have their own thoughts and feelings that aren't put into consideration. The last point is that we can choose to be vegans and choose to live a better life instead of ignoring the norms of eating habits. In his perspective, being a vegan means you're doing the right thing by not only being healthy, but also saving animals and the planet, and encourages other people to follow his lead.
Which diet is more natural for humans? This may be an important factor for people when it comes to choosing a diet. People do not want to have to strain their digestive system or possibly put unnecessary restrictions on themselves if the body dictates they do not have to. In this sense, a natural diet would be a diet humans are predisposed to, judging from what our biological ancestors ate and what our teeth, nails, and organs dictate. From traces of evidence left behind of the biological ancestors of humans, we can imagine what type of diet they had. The earliest known species in the genus Homo had smaller cheek teeth, thinner dental enamel, and greater occlusal relief than similar species alive at the time, suggesting a plant-based diet. Judging from dental records, other species may have been able to chew through tougher foods, including meat. Prehistoric stone tools have been found to be made by human ancestors, which suggests they were being used to cut through meat. However, these ancestors predate the earliest known hominins, which is a taxonomical group consisting of humans and their most immediate ancestors. Humans' organs, in comparing them to that of other animals, may tell us their intended biological function. Humans have blunt teeth with canines. Contrary to popular belief, canines do not indicate that an animal is a carnivore or omnivore, as many herbivore species possess them, such as hippos and gorillas, who use them for other functions. For these species, canines serve the purpose of defense against other animals. Humans have short, flat fingernails, unlike carnivores with claws designed to tear through flesh. The abdominal organs of humans are most similar to other primates who have a mostly plant-based diet and occasionally eat meat, such as insects. Why is whether a diet is natural for a body important in the first place? For many people, biological characteristics dictate their ethics and behavior. An example of this line of thinking is that it is justifiable to eat meat because humans have canines. It means we are supposed to. Arguments for other diets are irrelevant because it is apparently natural for humans to eat meat. This argument is a logical fallacy known as an appeal to nature, and it is reductive to deduce everything natural as good. Many natural behaviors found in humans and other animal species are considered immoral. Regardless, it is worthwhile to examine these claims as it influences many people's dietary choices and ethical views. While not conclusive, the evidence suggests that the most natural diet for a human would be mostly plant-based with occasionally some meat and no dairy. But it is important to remember, just because it is more natural does not make it good or healthy. Although only a hypothetical, exploring the possible effects of veganism on the planet if more people, or even all people, became vegan can allow us to understand the possible benefits, disadvantages, and long-term ramifications of veganism on a grand scale. The transition to veganism will not be overnight, and will be difficult to begin and maintain, especially for those living in third world countries. The world relies on the current widespread agriculture system, which mass produces crops and animal products, and a switch to veganism would require a reinvented system that is able to meet the demands of more than 7 billion people. Workers in the agriculture industry that deal with livestock would also be unemployed and have to find work elsewhere, whether it be working with crops or another industry overall. Using data from the United Nations and the Food and Agriculture Organization, Alexander et al. Determined that 50% of the world's land is used for agriculture, of which 77% is livestock and dairy. If more people were vegan, the land would be freed up and used for other purposes or restored as natural land, such as grassland and forests, increasing biodiversity in some cases. In other cases, some semi-arid land used for farming of livestock is not suitable for cultivating crops, and local people and economies may suffer as a result. People becoming vegan would be favorable for the state of the planet's climate and where it is headed. A computer model created by Marco Springman and colleagues showed that if everyone became vegetarian by 2050, food-related emissions would drop by about 60% and by 70% if it was veganism instead. The study also showed that if everyone went vegetarian by 2050, global mortality would be reduced by 6 to 10%, as meat, especially red meat, is a major contributor to people developing heart disease, diabetes, cancer, and other diseases that are potentially fatal. Unfortunately, this is dangerous for those who are malnourished, which is more common in third world countries. Meat is a source of many nutrients and calories, which may be difficult to gain from only plant-based foods, especially in limited quantities. This analysis demonstrates that transitioning to veganism is a difficult process, and that for some people and places it may not be possible. Regardless, if those who could become vegan, those who are financially able and not malnourished, underwent the dietary and lifestyle changes, there will be many benefits for the planet and overall health in a nation. It is extremely unlikely for even a part of the world to collectively become vegan, but with the trend of a growing vegan population, it may slowly become a reality in the future, and meat eating could be a thing of the past.
Is a vegan diet safe for all ages? It seems as if every day there are more and more people around the world looking to find more adequate diets and eating habits that best fit into their lifestyle. In the United States alone, the number of people claiming to be vegan grew from 1% to 6% between 2014 and 2017, according to an article by Forbes. We read this and assume that more adults are realizing the benefits this dietary change brings to them, but don't realize that as more people become vegan, so are their families. This can range from adults, children, and maybe even the elderly. And though it has its benefits on the planet, animals, and even your health, is this really the best diet to pursue at any age? A vegan diet can be healthy for children, but there are precautions that must be taken. You have to make sure that they are taking the right amount of vitamins and minerals like B12, iron, zinc, calcium, and protein. Eating grains, beans, nuts, and vitamin supplements can decrease this deficiency. And as a child grows, it is also important to take protein, or you can stunt their height. So it is important to include a protein shake every day, as plant proteins is not absorbed by the body easily compared to other protein sources. Now, going vegan at an older age is a very similar situation, though there is some difference, as some people have been eating meats and other foods their whole life. And just the rough change can be a risk, as you can short your daily caloric intake, and this can be an issue, as you can become tired easily or become malnourished. So you have to take the right diets in calcium, protein, and B12. For example, you gotta take almonds, kale, spinach, and oranges for calcium. For protein, you want to take beans, walnuts, almonds, and for B12, you want to drink something like soy or almond milk, or some B12 certified cereals, according to Harvard Health. To safely begin your diet, you may begin by combining food sources like vitamins, minerals, salads, and smoothies. And lastly, you want to make sure that you take it as slowly as possible because it is a hard transition. So maybe start off by removing the meats, the fish, and then so on. So basically, to summarize, yes, vegan diets are safe for all ages as long as the right precautions are taken and you're consuming the right amount of vitamins and minerals in your body. Does being a vegan ensure a longer lifespan than eating meat? As much as one may love meat, we can all agree that it is not the healthiest part of our daily meals. Meat contains high levels of fat and cholesterol. Both of these things are associated with cardiovascular risks. Vegans benefit even more as they do not consume dairy or eggs, which also contain high amounts of saturated fats. According to an article posted by meatfreefitness.co.uk, processed meat has been classified as Class 1 carcinogen by the World Health Organization. This means that the evidence is just as strong as smoking and asbestos. This article states that eating meat can come with different types of risks. It even goes as far as comparing it to cigarettes and asbestos in the carcinogen level. Generally, people who don't eat meat tend to consume healthier foods as they replace meat with vegetables, grains, beans, and nuts. Though it's not always the case, vegetable and fruit consumption is higher on average with plant-based diets, and this alone comes with health benefits. Fruits and vegetables contain nutritious compounds like antioxidants, polyphenols, fiber, vitamins, minerals, and all these things combined work together to reduce stress, blood levels, cholesterol, and help to maintain a healthy body weight. In fact, according to the same article, it states that higher consumption of these nutritious compounds reduces the risk of type 2 diabetes, developing several cancers, cardiovascular disease, and becoming overweight. Lastly, it states that higher intake of fruits and vegetables is associated with a reduced overall mortality risk. In an article by Healthline.com titled, "Does the Vegan Diet Extend Your Lifespan?" they performed several studies where they tested to see if eating vegetables had any effect on your lifespan. The results were actually complemented by each other, and the article cited all of their information, so the information is not false. For the first study, we saw that vegetarians and vegans may benefit from a 12% lower risk of death compared with people who eat meat. For the second study, it stated vegans had a 15% lower risk of dying prematurely from all causes, indicating that a vegan diet may indeed help people live longer than those who adhere to a vegetarian or omnivorous eating patterns. These results seem to show that reducing our meat consumption and adding more fruits and vegetables to our diet can improve our health. However, of course, there are cases of people who eat meat every day and live to a ripe old age. Everyone's body is different and is capable of intaking different foods without being affected. In fact, there are also studies that state that there is no difference in your lifespan whether you eat meat or not. And a lot of the studies that are performed are for vegans, not vegetarians, so there's really no way to tell if meat directly is affecting your lifespan or other things like eggs and dairy. Lastly, vegan diets are overall healthier than non-vegan diets as we consume less saturated fats and intake more vegetables and fruits. More arguments for veganism are valid, as you can see in the website made by Richard Dawkins, where he states the human body isn't equipped to eat or digest meat. We really don't need meat at all to be healthy, and veganism isn't demanding and is more sustainable than other diets. A balanced diet is more natural for humans, as that is what we were made to intake. We were made to intake both vegetables and fruits as well as meats, which is why we have canines, as I stated earlier. Then if everyone adopted a vegan diet, the world would have to grow a lot more plant-based foods and the total emissions would drop by 70%. And as I stated in the earlier slide, the mortality would reduce by 6 to 10%, according to the article by Newer. A vegan diet is safe for all ages as long as the proper vitamins, minerals, and proteins are consumed. And a vegan diet ensures a healthier life and reduces risk of certain diseases. However, it all depends on your body whether you can live a longer lifespan or not.